Have you ever stood on the banks of the Mekong River, late at night, when the water flows quietly beneath the moonlight? The Mekong is wide, dark, and endless, stretching like a living creature through mountains, valleys, and forests, carrying with it countless stories whispered by generations. And among all those stories, none is more captivating, more mysterious, and more deeply rooted in the spirit of the people than the legend of the Naga. The Naga, the great Serpent King, is said to dwell beneath the waters of the Mekong, not merely a snake, but a being of immense power, with scales that shimmer like emerald and gold, eyes glowing like fire, and a body so long that it could coil around entire mountains. In the folklore of Laos, Cambodia, Thailand, and parts of Vietnam, the Naga is not just a monster. It is a guardian, a ruler, and a bridge between the human and the divine. To some, the Naga is a protector, a sacred being who watches over fishermen, farmers, and travelers. It blesses the waters with fertility, ensuring that rice fields flourish and nets come back heavy with fish. To others, it is a fearsome spirit, one that can bring floods, storms, and disaster when disrespected. The Naga is unpredictable, both kind and cruel, reflecting the river itself. Across villages along the Mekong, people tell stories of strange ripples in the water, of shadows that move silently beneath boats, of sudden whirlpools that appear and vanish. Some say these are the signs of the Naga, reminding people that they are never alone on the river. Children grow up hearing their grandparents tell these tales by firelight, voices hushed, eyes wide with wonder and fear. And even today, in our modern world of science and satellites, the presence of the Naga has not faded. It remains carved into temple walls, painted on festival banners, and sung about in old folk songs. The Naga is more than myth. It is memory. It is the living spirit of the Mekong, a symbol of how deeply humans feel connected to the waters that sustain them. And as we begin this journey together, exploring the legend of the Sacred Naga, I invite you to imagine yourself standing on that riverbank. The air is thick with mist. The sound of crickets rises from the trees. The water glimmers faintly under the moon. You feel the current pulling gently at your feet. And you wonder, somewhere in that endless dark, is something watching back. Because here, in the heart of Southeast Asia, the river is never just a river. It is a kingdom, and the Naga is its king. To understand the Naga, we must go back in time, far beyond the Mekong, to the ancient world of India. There, in Hindu mythology, the Nagas were not mere snakes, but powerful serpent deities, half human and half serpent, dwelling in the underworld and guarding hidden treasures. They were rulers of rivers, lakes, and oceans, masters of storms and rain. The very word Naga means serpent, but in the old stories they were never ordinary reptiles. They were beings of majesty, cunning, and supernatural might. When Buddhism spread from India into Southeast Asia, it carried with it many symbols and stories, and the Naga came along. But here, along the Mekong, the serpent did not remain exactly the same. It merged with local beliefs, river spirits, and ancestral legends, until it became something unique to this land. One of the most beloved tales comes from Buddhist tradition. It is said that when the Buddha was meditating under a tree during the rainy season, a great storm swept across the land. Rain poured down in sheets, lightning cracked the sky, and the rivers began to swell. In that moment, a Naga rose from the depths, wrapped its coils beneath the Buddha, and spread its great hood over him like an umbrella, shielding him from the storm for 7 days and 7 nights. This story has been told countless times across temples of Laos and Thailand, and it is why, to this day, the Naga is seen as a protector of the Dharma, a guardian of spiritual truth. But the Naga is not only tied to Buddhism. In Cambodia, the serpent takes on an even grander role in the story of kings. According to Khmer legend, the first king of Cambodia was a foreign prince who married a Naga princess. When the prince came to the land, the Serpent Queen's father drank up the waters that once covered the plains, and revealed the land that would become the Khmer kingdom. From this union of human and serpent, a great civilization was born. To the Khmer people, they are literally descended from the Nagas. This is why serpents appear so often in their temples, because the Naga is not just a guardian spirit, it is family. In Laos, the Naga is woven into the very fabric of the nation. It coils along temple staircases, slithers across the patterns of traditional textiles, and flows through folk songs. Many Lao people believe the Nagas still live beneath the Mekong today, watching, guiding, and protecting their villages. Even in Vietnam, especially along the Mekong Delta and the An Giang region near Cambodia, people whisper of giant serpents in the waters, some describing them as dragons, others as mysterious snakes that vanish as quickly as they appear. These stories blend with local river legends, yet always point back to the same image: a powerful, sacred being that rules the water. Through all these tales, one thing is clear. The Naga is not a single story, but many stories woven together, a thread running from India to Cambodia, from Laos to Thailand and beyond. It is a myth that has adapted, transformed, and taken root in every culture along the Mekong. And as it traveled, it grew larger than life, until it became not just a serpent, but a symbol of kingship, protection, and sacred power. The river gives life, and the river can take life away. Perhaps that is why people saw in its depths the shape of a serpent, a creature that could bless or punish, protect or destroy. The Naga became the perfect reflection of the river itself. Among all the legends of the Naga, none captures the imagination quite like the mysterious fireballs of the Mekong. Every year, when the full moon of the 11th lunar month rises, thousands of people gather along the riverbanks where Laos and Thailand meet. The air is alive with anticipation. Families spread mats on the sand. Monks chant prayers. Vendors sell food and lanterns. It feels like a festival, yet beneath the joy lies a sense of awe and a touch of fear. As the moon climbs higher, the crowd grows silent. All eyes turn toward the water, still and dark under the night sky. Minutes pass, and then, suddenly, it happens. A glowing red orb bursts out of the river's surface, floating upward like a ball of fire. No smoke trails behind it, no sound of explosion, just a silent flame rising straight into the night. The crowd gasps. Children point. Elders nod knowingly. Within moments, another fireball appears, then another, until the sky is dotted with fiery sparks that vanish as quickly as they come. Locals call this phenomenon the Bang Phi Phaya Naga, the Naga fireballs. They believe it is the Serpent King himself, breathing fire to honor the Buddha at the end of Buddhist Lent. The fireballs are offerings of devotion, proof that the Nagas still live beneath the Mekong, keeping their ancient promise to protect the faith. Scientists, of course, have tried to explain it. Some suggest it is methane gas rising from the riverbed, igniting as it touches the air. Others claim it is flares, fireworks, or even tricks of light reflected by boats. But the people of the Mekong shrug at these theories. To them, science may have its answers, but those answers lack the soul, the meaning, the reverence that has been passed down for centuries. Because when you stand on that riverbank and see with your own eyes the silent flames leaping from the water, something stirs deep inside you. You feel the hairs rise on your arms. You feel the presence of something vast and unseen. Whether it is gas, magic, or the spirit of the Naga itself does not matter in that moment. What matters is that the river is alive and the people are connected to it. The fireballs are not just lights in the sky. They are a bridge between the natural and the supernatural, between faith and mystery. They remind the people that the Naga is still there, hidden in the depths, watching, breathing, waiting. And so, year after year, the festival continues. Crowds will gather, prayers will be whispered, children will laugh, and the Naga's fire will rise once more from the heart of the Mekong. If you walk through the ancient stones of Angkor Wat in Cambodia, you will see the Naga everywhere. At the entrances, enormous stone serpents stretch out with 7, sometimes 9 heads, fanning like the petals of a lotus. Their bodies form balustrades, curling along the stairways, as if guiding you from the earthly world into the divine. To step past them is to step into sacred space. These serpents are not there for decoration. They are reminders of the old story that the Khmer people are descendants of the Naga. For them, these carvings are not just stone, but symbols of ancestry, guardianship, and royal legitimacy. The king rules with the blessing of the serpent. Without the Naga, there would be no kingdom. In Laos, the Naga appears in a gentler but no less powerful form. On the banks of the Mekong, in Vientiane, golden Naga statues rise high, their scales glittering in the sunlight. They curl gracefully along temple staircases, their fangs bared not in menace, but in vigilance. Every visitor who enters a shrine must pass between their coils, as if asking permission to approach the sacred. During festivals, offerings of flowers and incense are left at their feet, prayers whispered for protection and prosperity. In Thailand, the Naga takes on dazzling colors: emerald greens, sapphire blues, fiery reds. Serpents encrusted with mirrors and jewels shimmer across temple roofs. At the great temple of Wat Phra That Phanom, a legendary site believed to be protected by Nagas, pilgrims arrive from across the region, carrying with them small carvings, woven cloths, and even tattoos of the serpent. For many Thais, the Naga is a spiritual guardian that protects both the temple and the people who worship there. But the Naga is not only carved in stone or painted on walls, it is also danced. In traditional performances, dancers don elaborate serpent costumes, moving their bodies in long, fluid motions that mimic the undulations of a snake in water. The drums pound, the flutes sing, and the Naga comes alive in human form. Children watch with wide eyes, believing they are seeing the great serpent itself taking shape before them. Even in folk crafts, the Naga appears again and again. Textiles woven by Lao and Thai women often carry its coiling shape, zigzagging across fabric like the flow of a river. Masks worn during village ceremonies display fierce serpent faces, painted in gold and crimson. In every corner of life, from art to architecture, from ritual to celebration, the Naga is never far away. The reason is simple. The people of the Mekong see the serpent not just as a legend, but as part of their world. To honor the Naga is to honor the river, the harvest, the ancestors. It is to acknowledge that life itself flows, coils, and twists, just as the serpent does. And so, when you walk through the sacred temples or watch a festival along the riverbank, you cannot escape its gaze. The Naga watches you from every carving, every dance, every flame of incense. It reminds you that in this land, the serpent is not forgotten. It is everywhere, eternal, sacred. The Mekong River itself is vast, stretching over 4,000 kilometers, flowing through 6 countries, carving valleys, feeding fields, and shaping entire civilizations. It begins high in the icy plateaus of Tibet, gathers strength as it runs through China, and then enters the warm, fertile lands of Southeast Asia. By the time it reaches Laos, Thailand, Cambodia, and Vietnam, it is no longer just a river. It is the heartbeat of the land. For countless generations, the people who live along its banks have seen the Mekong not as water, but as a living being. It provides fish to eat, water to drink, silt to nourish the rice fields. It gives life to millions. But it can also destroy. Floods can wipe out entire villages. Currents can drag boats under in an instant. Droughts can starve the fields. And so, the river became a spirit, something to be respected, honored, even feared. And the form that spirit took was the Naga. In many villages, before fishermen cast their nets, they paused to whisper a prayer, asking the Serpent King for safety and a plentiful catch. Boatmen, before setting off, leave offerings at small shrines by the shore, a candle, a flower, a few grains of rice. Farmers, waiting for the floods that renew their fields, see the rising waters as the Naga stirring, shedding its skin and blessing the earth with new fertility. Every rise and fall of the Mekong is read like the movement of a serpent, coiling, uncoiling, watching, waiting. When the river turns red during certain seasons, locals sometimes say it is the blood of the Naga, or the scales it has shed deep beneath the current. When whirlpools appear suddenly, pulling boats into their spin, they are seen as the serpent's breath, rising from below. When the floods come too early or too strong, the whispers spread. The Naga has grown restless. The people have forgotten their offerings, and the serpent demands respect. These beliefs may sound like superstition to outsiders, but they are also a way of understanding the unpredictable nature of the river. The Mekong can never be fully controlled. It has moods, tempers, rhythms of its own. By giving it the form of a serpent, people can live with its unpredictability. They can see purpose in its chaos. The Mekong is called the Mother of Waters, but to many it is also the body of the Naga, twisting across the land, shaping mountains, cutting valleys, feeding plains. To look at the river is to look at the serpent itself, and once you see it that way, you can never look at the Mekong the same again. So the river flows on, a serpent of water, life and mystery, carrying with it the dreams and fears of all who live along its banks. And in every ripple, every current, every mist that rises at dawn, the Naga is there, watching. Legends are powerful, but what makes the Naga truly haunting are the stories of people who claim to have seen it. Along the Mekong, from remote Lao villages to Cambodian fishing towns, countless tales are told of encounters with the Serpent King. Each story is different, yet somehow they all feel the same. Some villagers swear they've seen giant shadows gliding just beneath the surface, too large to be fish, too smooth to be drifting logs. Late at night, when the moonlight shimmers across the water, they say a dark form sometimes rises and then slips away, leaving only ripples that rock the boats tied to shore. Fishermen tell of nets suddenly torn apart, as if dragged by a force much stronger than any catch. Others claim their boats have been tipped over without warning, a sudden whirlpool swallowing them whole before releasing them downstream. There are stories of enormous serpents, longer than a bus, rising half out of the water, their heads crowned with horns, their scales shining green and gold, before diving again into the depths. Some say they have seen eyes glowing in the dark, staring from just below the surface, vanishing the moment they are noticed. And there are even rumors of strange marks left along muddy riverbanks, wide tracks, as if something heavy had dragged itself from the water and returned again before dawn. Skeptics call these stories illusions, tricks of the current, mistakes made by tired fishermen after long days on the river. Perhaps it was just a giant catfish, they argue, or drifting debris carried by the current. But those who live by the Mekong shake their heads. They know the river better than anyone. They know the weight of a catfish, the look of floating logs, the swirl of a natural whirlpool. And when they say it was different, when they say it was the Naga, their voices carry a conviction that is hard to ignore. For the people of the Mekong, these sightings are not about proof. They are about presence. They remind everyone that the river is alive, that it watches, listens, and responds. Whether the serpent shows itself in fireballs, whirlpools, or shadows, it does so on its own terms. And perhaps that is what makes the Naga so terrifying and so sacred at once. You never know when it will appear, or to whom. When night falls on the Mekong, the darkness is deep, almost endless. You hear the water lapping at the shore, the cry of distant birds, the hum of insects. And if you listen closely, you might hear something else. The slow, heavy movement of a body beneath the waves. Your heart quickens, because for just a moment, you wonder if the Serpent King has chosen to reveal itself, even in our modern world of concrete cities, motorbikes, and smartphones. The Naga has not disappeared. If anything, it has grown even more visible. Travel to Vientiane, the capital of Laos, and you will find enormous golden Naga statues coiling along the riverfront, their scales glittering in the sunlight, their fangs bared in silent warning. In Thailand, brightly painted Nagas stretch across the roofs of temples, their jeweled eyes catching the light as if alive. In Cambodia, the ancient stones of Angkor are still wrapped in the serpent's coils, their heads watching as tourists pass beneath. Everywhere along the Mekong, the Serpent King still waits, carved in stone, painted on walls, celebrated in dance and festival. But the Naga is not only in statues and shrines. It lives in the rhythms of daily life. During the annual Naga Fireball Festival, thousands of people still gather by the river, whispering prayers, waiting for the flames to rise. Families still leave offerings of incense, rice, and flowers at small shrines before fishing or farming. Children still grow up hearing their grandparents tell stories of great serpents beneath the water, their eyes wide with fear and wonder. The legend has never faded. It has only changed shape, much like the serpent itself. And perhaps that is the power of the Naga. It adapts. Just as the river twists and bends, the serpent's story coils and reshapes itself to fit every generation. For some, it is a symbol of national pride. For others, it is a guardian spirit, or a reminder of the Buddhist Dharma. For many, it is a warning. Respect the river, respect the land, or suffer the serpent's wrath. Yet behind all these meanings, there is something universal. The Naga is the voice of mystery. It is the reminder that no matter how much we measure, explain, and control, there are still forces greater than us. The river is bigger than any dam, any boat, any human ambition. It has moods, tempers, and secrets of its own, and the Naga embodies that truth. So, what is the Naga? Really? Is it a god, a monster, a spirit? Or is it simply the way humans give form to the wild, unpredictable power of nature? Perhaps it is all of these at once. Perhaps it is none of them. But stand by the Mekong at night, hear the water moving endlessly through the dark, and you will feel it. That presence, ancient, watchful, eternal. Something more than water flows here. Something more than legend stirs beneath the waves. And maybe, just maybe, the Serpent King is still there, sleeping in the depths, waiting for the moment when the world once again believes in its power. Until then, the river flows on, and the story of the Naga flows with it.